time that we are conducting a session on masters, uh, and you know what? There are some CSU trolls, some companies, they only take you if you have a post graduation degree, and it's true. No matter how much talented you are, it 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 is just a gate pass, and if you have done it from the top elite colleges, then it's absolutely great. So today we have uh, one from an elite college in India. It is almost ranked in the top 10 in Asia, which is ISB Indian School of Business. Very hard to crack, and it has actually made a mark because previously there were only IMs and XLRIs because of the rigorous structure. But just to tell you a few things about our today's speaker, Sejal is a eco grad from SRCC, and then she has worked at a hedge fund company for close to 2 years, if I'm not wrong. Sejal?
The hedge fund for 5 months, and then I was working at Nomura, which is an investment bank, for almost 1.5 years.
1.5 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And then she is GMAT like 720 एकदम ऊपर level का score होता है. So today we have kept a session because we don't want all of you uh, to not know about a field and कैसे हम लोग mix कर सकते हैं, how much effort does it take. So that is why this session is here. And अगर किसी ऐसे इंसान के से हम सुने जिन्होंने ऐसा किया है अपने लाइफ में, so and she's a star student from the start only. Like I know her since she has completed her class 12 boards, and she did an MBA from ISB, and as you all have seen in the poster, and now she is a consultant, right, at the top three management consulting firms. So, so Sejal, now I'll basically leave the podium for you, and if you can start and guide us something about yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think two things I will mention. One for the GMAT prep point of view, and second on the importance of MBA, which Praveen sir already covered in briefly. So for GMAT, I think the most important thing is consistency. Like I've heard this from a lot of people that from 5, 6 months they are like, I want to give GMAT, I want to give GMAT, but they are not able to build that consistency and habit in their practice, and they just keep delaying it because you can keep taking it as many times in a year. It's not once a year like CAT. Hence, that discipline is very important to build. And second, coming to the MBA part of it, I think Praveen so very rightly mentioned that even today people look at the degrees that you hold, like MBA, CFA, CA, actuaries. These things do add a lot of value to your profile, and especially doing it from institutions like IIMs, ISB, maybe XLR, MDI, etc. It makes a huge lot of a difference. And if honestly, if you build the discipline and consistency, you anyone can easily get there. I mean, 750 plus according to the classic GMAT, it's not very difficult to crack if you put in the work. So I did it over a period of just 2 months, so I'm pretty sure it can be done by anybody. And when I started, it was kind of like I was very scared. I wasn't even sure if I will be able to do it. I had given CAT, but I was around 98 percentile or something. So I wasn't sure if I will be able to crack GMAT as well, but pretty much doable. So.
Okay. So, Sejal, to start with, tell us something about your life at DU and what goes on. Like, how is it like to be in the top premier institute, and how did your plans for MBA actually evolve? When did you actually know that yes, you want to do? And there is a second part to this question कि अगर आज के crowd जो हमारा आज का basically crowd है, they're very good in quants, right? So what basically synergy they are going to get? So that is a two-part question.
Got it, sure. So coming to my life at DU, I think it gave me a lot of exposure. So just for context, I am based out of Kolkata and I moved out of my hometown, moved to Delhi for the first time. So meeting people from all different spheres, getting access to the topmost faculties, like they were so well researched, they knew exactly what they were talking about, and it was grounded in very real life practical things. So that was a very new sort of experience, and then got exposure to a lot of new societies and committees. Like I was a part of 4 or 5 societies during my time at SRCC, be it Debating Society, D Street. So that again gives you exposure to a lot of diversity of thought also. So that was a little bit about my life at DU. And then I interned in my second year at this very hedge fund where I converted a PPO. At that time, I was very finance oriented. I wanted to build a career in investment banking or PVC, somewhere in that particular field, right? And when I decided to do MBA, it was basically in my third year when I saw that a few of my peers and very good friends already had admits from ISB under the YLP program, which you can apply when you are in undergrad. Now that program has been discontinued. But I saw a few of my friends securing those admits, and I thought I had a lot of free time on my hands by third year, right? Like I had a PPO, I wasn't sitting for placements. So I thought, why not make use of this time, give an exam like GMAT or something, and get an admit, and I can decide 2 years later whether or not I want to actually go for the MBA or not, right? So that was the thinking that actually pushed me to apply for ISB to give GMAT. And later, when I was switching from the hedge fund to Nomura, I was applying on LinkedIn on a lot of roles, and I saw everywhere they were mentioning either CA, CFA, or MBA as a criteria. So that's when I realized that, okay, I need something more to give a push to my profile. And that's when I eventually decided to join ISB 1.5 years after working.
Okay.
And what was the second part? Sorry, to your question.
Second part is basically कि actually I answered that कि आपके मन में कब आया कि आपको एक MBA मतलब when you want to do an MBA, right? So my next question to you is, since I know you, you're very good at quants, right? And what synergy actually, if a person who is very good in quants gets? So as there are 3 sections, if you know in GMAT, so what level of synergies will they get? And tell us something about the prep, like how it started and how much effort is required, because some of them are working professionals, some of them are having day college like eco honors. So tell us something about that.
Definitely. I think if you're good at quants, you have a very good head start, to be honest. Because quant score it too matters a lot. Like even when institutions are looking at the overall GMAT score, they will look at especially your quant score. Verbal, whatever you have, it's fine, but quant you should have a good score. And how it will bring you synergies is because in GMAT you have to be very quick. You almost have like 2 minutes per question, that kind of a thing. So if you are already good in quants, then your basics are sorted. Now you just need to find tips and tricks to actually crack it in that 2 or 1.5 minute ka limit. So you can focus all your energy towards getting that timing right. So you can actually save a lot of time on building that basics wala part, which a lot of people might not have if they are not good at quants, right? So then they will take 1 month just to understand some of those concepts, which you can actually kind of skip. And then coming to the prep part of it for me, and for especially relevant for working professionals. So when I was also taking GMAT, I had started working at the hedge fund, and I had a 14-hour work day, and even weekends were working except Sunday half day. So the way I used to prep was, I was very determined that I need to give at least 2.5 to 3 hours every day. It can't work like this that, okay, today I will do, then 2, 3 days later I will do again. So I was very clear in my head that I wanted to do 2.5, 3 hours every day. So I used to wake up around 5 a.m. in the morning, used to, with a fresh mind, I would do say 2 hours. And when you are in a fresh mind, you prefer doing something like verbal. Like I used to go for something like a verbal section because that's where I felt like I needed more push, more practice. And early in the morning, you're woken up. So good to read passages and you have those like critical reasoning skills, etc. Right. So I used to do 2 hours of that. And then later on, after I finished my work, say after 7, 8 p.m., then I would do quants for maybe 1 or 2 hours. I would practice. And then Sundays, I think I would do like 4, 5 hours at a stretch. So the first month of my prep was exactly like this. And then the next 1 month was completely focused on giving sectional tests, mock tests, and then revisiting those, revisiting my old concepts, etc. That was pretty much how I broke it down.
सो यू मेंशन दैट कि जीमैट पहले हम लोग ट्राई करते हैं एंड जीमैट का स्कोर एक सर्टेन elongated पीरियड के लिए वैलिड भी रहता है.
Yeah.
सो if anyone wants to start, right, so what are the things that are actually required in GMAT? And like अगर हम आज GMAT क्रैक कर लेते like in the next 3 to 4 months,
Hmm.
then like for what time I can decide कि मेरे को एमबीए करना है कि नहीं, बिकॉज बहुत बार क्या होता है हमारे हाथ में वो जीमैट का स्कोर ही नहीं रहता है टू
Hmm.
एक्चुअली गो फॉर एन एमबीए. सो
Hmm.
जैसा कि आपने बोला कि 2 मंथ सिंस योर एलिट, तो हम लोग अगर एक एवरेज समझे तो 3 से 4 महीना में कोई भी अगर
Hmm.
जिसका क्वांट्स अच्छा है वो जीमैट अच्छे स्कोर ला सकता है उसमें, राइट?
Yeah.
सो कितना टाइम तक वो एक्चुअली वैलिड रहता है एंड व्हाट इज द रेलेवेंस ऑफ दैट?
I think as far as I recall, GMAT score is valid for 4 to 5 years. 5 years का होता है validity, I think, right? So that actually places you in a very good position कि there's no hurry. मतलब now you have the GMAT score in your hand, you have the confidence कि okay, I can just like experiment in the job market for say the next 2 years. I can try maybe finance, I can try consulting, I can try strategy or startup, whatever I want to do. And some people are very confused whether they want to go abroad, whether they want to do ISB. So that kind of confusion also goes on. I have seen that in a lot of my peers. So I think at least for a good 2.5, 3 years, you can be secure in your head and you can experiment and do whatever you want. And then you can say, ki, Acha, chalo, now I should put my mind to it, whether I want to apply to ISB or whether I want to apply abroad, and give yourself that buffer period of 2 years कि अगर 1 साल में नहीं भी हुआ admission crack, then एक और साल है आपके पास. So places you in a very good position that way.
Great. So tell us something about how is ISB a MBA school like, and how does the life of MBA look like?
ISB is actually amazing. It gives you the best of both worlds, I would say, in the sense that you don't have to chuck out 2 years of your life for MBA. You can do it in a compressed 1 year period. But even then, you feel like you've not missed out on anything from the overall broader MBA experience. And it's genuinely very, very diverse compared to other B schools in India. Like, I feel at least 50-50 engineering, non engineering kind of split you will get. You will get a lot of like that male female diversity. You will have people in your cohort who have tried startups in the past, who have failed and are looking to restart, and they have come, they are not sitting for placements maybe. You will get people who are looking to pivot from something like product management to consulting. People who have maybe done finance in the past want to continue finance in the future, but are looking for a designation push or a compensation push, something like that. So all kinds of cohorts will be there at ISB. And it's very well structured in the way that, okay, first 1.5 months is more about just getting acquainted with like your batch, with the kind of profiles that are there, getting acquainted with the professors, the life at ISB. The next 2 months, maybe you will focus more on academics. Next 3 to 4 months will be more placement oriented. Then a lot of people go for international exchanges. And the last, say, 2 months are literally just for chilling and making the most out of your MBA life. So it's a very holistic, well rounded package that way.
Okay. So Sejal has worked before an MBA also and after an MBA also. So what changes you see in your attributes, in your work culture, in your personal life after doing an MBA?
I think makes a lot of, I think two things, even though you didn't ask the question, but I want to cover this, that whether or not you should work before MBA, I think you should really have maybe like 1 year of experience before doing an MBA, because it helps put a lot of things into perspective. When you are sitting in that MBA classroom, they will talk about a lot of case studies that, okay, this thing happened in this particular company, blah, blah, blah. And you will be able to relate it with the things you have seen at work. So I believe that experience is very important. Even if you do it just for 1 year, say 6 months to 1 year, that is good enough. And now coming to the shift in my working style after MBA, right? So I think one thing is definitely time boxing a lot of things, right? Because at ISB, you're juggling with so many priorities, and that is true even after MBA. But before MBA, I used to struggle a lot that, okay, I need to get so many things done. How do I do it? And I used to stretch immensely, like working way longer than needed, working over weekends also. But now I have learned how to juggle all of those multiple priorities in a very time efficient manner, that, okay, 2 hours I will give to this, 2 hours I'll give to that, blah, 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 that way. And I'm able to think more smartly also. Like the same work which used to take maybe 5 to 6 hours, now I can get done in 1 hour, because I have seen more efficient ways of working at ISB, or I know all of these toolkits that I can use. Now AI everyone is using, right? So a lot of things you can get done very quickly and in a much more smarter way. And third thing is the network part of it. Like wherever I am stuck, I can just ping on the ISB network that, guys, has someone done this or is someone working in this particular field, and I will immediately get 4 or 5 people to respond, and they will connect me to someone and give me like a 5 minute overview of the industry or the problem that I'm trying to solve, or maybe they have solved the problem before. So that just makes my life so much easier when I have access to such a network.
Okay. So see, till now, if someone is a CA or a CFA, it's very, I'll say market specific, right? But an MBA always gives you opportunities across all the sectors. So
Hmm.
if you can highlight, since you were the torchbearer also, so since you can highlight some of the different kinds of roles and what actually happens at the placements at these B schools.
Yeah, sure. So I think the 5, 6 major sectors would be probably finance. Within finance, also you would have different kinds, right? It could be investment banking, could be PE, could be VC, could be actuarial companies, right? Then second would be consulting. Again, there I would break it down into two parts. One would be management consulting, and second would be niche consulting, say focused on technology consulting or operations consulting, that kind of thing. Then the third would be probably Genman strategy kind of roles, right? And startups, for example, Zomato, Nykaa, Ola, these guys hire from ISB usually for their strategy offices. Zepto also hired. So those kinds of roles. Fourth would be product management or kind of more tech oriented roles, which would be in Microsoft, Google, etc. Fifth would be marketing, and that could be again combined with marketing and analytics or data analytics, data scientist kind of roles. So I think those are the broad buckets.
Okay.
And hmm,
So, since you're currently working at consulting, right? Everyone, many of the college students, they don't know also about what is consulting and what are the major consulting firms. How do these consulting firms work and why is it so highly valued? So, throw some light on that.
yeah, sure. So I will cover the top consulting firms first that at least I know about. It is a very huge space, so this is not an exhaustive list, but the top ones that I can think of would be McKinsey, Bain, BCG, Accenture Consulting, Oliver Wyman. Then what else? Uh, there's Mastercard Consulting. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot more, but these are the top ones. What is consulting all about, and I think why it is very attractive also. It firstly it gives you access to the most intelligent kind of people that you can surround yourself with, because everyone comes with very diverse sort of experiences. They're top of their classes, so that exposure, I mean, it always challenges you to push your boundaries also, because till now you might be thinking that, okay, wow, I know everything and blah blah, but consulting will really humble you, and you will see that people are so sharp and their minds are running at literally 10,000 kilometer per hour, so that will push you to explore new angles and change your thinking and push your boundaries also. And what consultants really do is basically advise firms on their business problems, right? For example, right now I'm helping a bank with their org-wide transformation on how to scale their portfolio from say 5 lakh crore to 10 lakh crore in the next 2 years. And that is a mix of both strategy, as in like which are the regions or which are the products that you should focus on, and the implementation angle of it, which is which teams that you need to mobilize for that, right? And it gives you exposure across different sectors. Again, right now, for example, I'm working for a bank, but before this I served a steel player, which is one of the topmost steel players in Indian market. Before that I was working for a US retail company. So just in a span of 7 to 8 months I have gotten exposure to these various sectors and different kinds of problem statements within these sectors also. So very interesting space to be in.
ओके सो लाइक बहुत सारा मैं देखता हूँ कि लोगों का अलग अलग व्यूज होता है सिंस यू हैव डन इट नाउ सो मेनी पीपल आर ऑफ द ओपिनियन कि भाई एमबीए का इतना कॉस्ट है एक्स कॉस्ट है तो
Hmm.
हमको ये करना चाहिए इसका इसका वाई कॉस्ट है विच इज मे बी let's say suppose at 1/10 or maybe 1/5 of the
Mhm.
price, right? So give us a larger value goals. So there are some things जो हम लोग को वैसे देख के नहीं पता चलता है, जैसे कि आपने नेटवर्क मेंशन किया, राइट?
Yeah.
आपका जो पर्सनल एट्रीब्यूट जो चेंज होता है, जैसे लोगों के बीच में आप ग्रूम होते हो,
Yes.
throw some light on that whether it is actually advisable today to go for an MBA or not.
I think, yeah, as you correctly mentioned, a lot of people calculate the ROI that, oh my God, 40 lakh MBA and placement, like it will maybe not give that much of a push to my compensation. Abhi 2, 3 years, if I spend in working only, then I will get to that level. People have those kinds of notions. But I think two things to that. One is you should always look at the longer ROI, as you exactly mentioned, like 4, 5 years down the line, or even sooner than that. Like right now, more than 50% of the batch that I worked with, they have already switched to new companies. And why was that possible? Most of them got jobs through their ISB network itself. Like they will put it on the group that, okay, I'm looking for this job. Someone is already working there. They will connect you with the HR of that company or whoever is the main decision maker, the VP or whoever. And they are a phone call away. So that then, secondly, you will build your network during your time at ISB. Literally every day there are like 3 to 4 sessions wherein there are CEOs, CFOs, CXOs of the topmost companies coming, not just from India but abroad as well. You can literally go have a one-on-one with them. If you are an entrepreneur, pitch your investment idea to them, get their contact number, and literally they are just there in your like one phone call or text away. If not that, you get access to your professors, right? Some of these professors, they literally advise to the Economic Board of India or sit with Nirmala Sitaraman, etc. So they are of that level. They are CEOs of companies themselves. So they are your professors. I mean, you can literally anytime reach out to them and they will facilitate your entry into a particular field, no matter where you want to go. So that network, I think, is just immensely valuable, and not just in the job market, be it any kind of advice that you're looking for. If you're an entrepreneur, investor, founder looking to raise money, you can just like reach out. 20 people will be willing to help you at the very least. And secondly, the personal attributes of it, most definitely. I mean, after 3 or 4 years, you will realize, I think, somewhere that your growth might get stagnant, and people will have that question, Acha, oh, this person has only done undergrad, or okay, this person only has this, they don't have an MBA. So that question mark kind of always comes, and that might sort of stall your progress, say, for 1 or 2 years. I don't know how this is changing really in today's world. Everything is very dynamic. It might change a few months later, but at least even today, I see that MBA is very relevant in some of these decisions. So I think you should definitely not undermine it or look at it that way that, oh, 40 lakh or whatever. I think the ROI is definitely worth it.
Okay, okay. So now I'll open the house for questions. So it was really great insights. So now I'll target some specific questions which you can type in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and ask your query. So I'll open the house for questions. We can take around 5 to 6 questions. So any questions which you all are having? Yes, Yash.
Okay, so hello, ma'am. As you attended ISB, and ISB is more like the ISB ecosystem is more focused like the MBAs which are done abroad and not as per the IIMs and the Indian ecosystem. So my question is that is it really worth it to attend ISB or to go for abroad where you get more intercultural mobility and the networking experiences are very much different that of an Indian company? So
Yeah, I think that's a very personal choice. When I can just tell you what factors I considered when I was making the decision of abroad versus ISB. I think a broad point of view, it was my personal decision that in the long term, I always wanted to come back and settle down in India, be surrounded by family and friends. So that was definitely one angle, which is a very personal choice. And second, I think spending maybe like 1.52 crore for that MBA abroad, and then you would have to spend 3, 4 years abroad only, right? Working and recovering that money. Whereas in India, it's more like, okay, now it's done and dusted, and you can just settle and build your network here. And if I wanted to settle down here only, I wanted my network to be here so that I can reach out to people in this particular country and have them on my fingertips or on my phone card. So that was the thinking that I had. And also, especially given the volatility in like visa issues or those kind of changes. Like I've heard from friends living abroad that, okay, now my visa has expired or something has happened and I have only 30 days to find a job. So I didn't want that kind of an insecurity always hovering over my head. So I think that's why I made the decision. And I spoke to a lot of people. I have a few friends who were studying abroad as well. And I personally felt that apart from that intercultural exposure, I felt overall curriculum wise or faculty wise, ISB was giving me the same kind of opportunities. So I was happy to go for it.
Actually ये same चीज मेरे साथ भी हुआ है. Like few of my friends, students, they have gone abroad and it's actually very challenging due to the new visa rules. ये जो सेम लाइन इसने बोला ना, सेम टू सेम उन्होंने मेरे को भी बोला कि आई एम जस्ट कमिंग अगेन. मे बी आप SMU देख लो, आप यूरोपियन कंट्रीज देख लो, US देख लो. So actually it's very difficult unless and until you have a very niche specific skill set जिसके लिए कंपनी रेडी है 2x पे करने के लिए, बिकॉज वहाँ वर्क वीजा बहुत महंगा होता है. तो वरना फिर वो लोग आपको नहीं रखेंगे. तो ये एक बहुत अच्छा वैलिड पॉइंट है जो उसने पुट फॉरवर्ड किया है. यस मंजरी.
I just wanted to ask two things. First, about the hedge fund. How did you manage to secure a hedge fund role still in undergrad? Because even I am a finance enthusiast, but nowadays they are not open for undergrad.
Yeah, okay. So the hedge fund was offering a internship role during my time at SRCC. So it was an on-campus internship. And the kind of process they had, they asked everyone, like after the CV shortlisting, they asked everyone to submit a research report on a particular problem statement that they had given. So I think there it was just a question of the depth of your thinking that you have shown in your research report, right? Like I compared my research report versus say 3 other applicants, and you could clearly see the difference in the amount of effort that you have put. Now, how this can be relevant for you is when you are applying to hedge funds or say VCs, etc., you should always try to attach a sample of your work, maybe an investment pitch that you have created, a thesis, and it need not be very big, right? Could be just a 5-pager PPT or something, but it just goes the extra mile, and you will be very surprised out of 50 people, maybe 5 or even lesser would actually put in that effort. So that will immediately differentiate you, right? And if you are doing like cold reach outs or cold calls, etc., always personalize it and say that, okay, I read it on your website that these are your values and this really aligns with what I am thinking for my career. So just that extra touch of personalization and that effort that you show them can go a very long way and help you crack it.
Okay.
Okay.
Last part was really insightful. So there are 2 to 3 questions related to preparation, like how did you prepare for GMAT? And they're asking, since you have given CAT as well, so what basic difference you felt in CAT and GMAT, if anyone wants to appear?
Yeah, okay. So first on the prep part of it, I think one is definitely to set an end goal, right? For example, 31st August का deadline है, उसके पहले मेरे को GMAT देना है, because that is the major hurdle that comes in. People are just like कि हाँ करते हैं prep शुरू, जब अच्छा score आएगा तब सोचेंगे कि book कर लेते हैं exam, because कभी भी आप book कर सकते हो. I think that's a very wrong approach. Maybe you should have a deadline in mind कि okay मेरे को 31st May तक देना है तो देना है, and you work backwards from that, which is what I did. कि मेरे को 2 months बाद देना है, I divided it कि 1 month I will just focus on building my base foundations, concepts, practice, and 1 month would be just sectional tests, mock tests, revisiting that and working on my weak areas. So that is how I divided my prep time. And second, CAT versus GMAT, I think format wise it's a little bit difficult. In CAT it's like you don't really need to do all the questions, I think something like that. But in GMAT it's very critical that you are able to finish like most of the questions that are being thrown your way. So that getting the timing aspect of it is more important, rather than in CAT it's more about which questions you do or not do, because it's negative scoring. But in terms of the base foundation, I think it's very similar in the verbal and quant. The kind of prep that you would need is very, very similar.
Okay. So there is one more question. How is working in finance different than consulting, since you have done both?
I think finance is rooted in a lot of data, right? And a lot of assumptions that you have to make, but it has to have a very solid foundation. And it's more like a lot of research and reading industry reports and those kind of things, right? Whereas in consulting, I think it's a lot about structuring your thoughts. Like research is the first leg of it, but then how do you structure all of that research and bring out really sharp insights from that, which a CEO who has been working in that company for more than 10-15 years has maybe not looked at the problem that way at all so far. So it's that kind of focused thinking that you can bring to consulting, and how you bring the best learnings from the industry or what their competitors are doing. Or like McKinsey, mein the thing is ki, whatever problem you are solving, someone else has already solved that before, maybe not in India, maybe in some other part of the world. So how do you sort of bring those learnings and adapt that to the company that you're working for? So it really challenges your thinking to that nth level. That is
Now, since few of my roommates in Mumbai, they are also in consulting. So one of the problem I can quote that they were talking about is the semiconductor industry, right? And one more problem was, let's suppose a company Aquaguard is facing some of their operational. So ऐसा नहीं कि operations में काम नहीं हो सकता है, काम किसी भी wing में हो सकता है. So अगर मान लो कि जब Aquaguard वाला आपके घर के आसपास में आ रहा है एंड वो घर तक नहीं जा रहा है, बट वो जैसे ही 200 मीटर के रेडियस में आ रहा है, वो सर्विस का दिखा दे रहा है कि मैंने सर्विस मेरा कंप्लीट हो गया, फिर डोर डोर नॉट ओपन वैसे करके. तो दे वर सॉल्विंग दिस काइंड ऑफ. तो ऐसा नहीं, दे हैव लॉट ऑफ ग्राउंड वर्क आल्सो, एंड आई हैव सीन हर आल्सो गोइंग टू क्लाइंट ऑफिस एंड काफी वो रहता है. बट एक चीज दैट इज बेस्ट अबाउट कंसल्टिंग एज सी मेंशन्ड इज डाइवर्सिटी. मतलब आपको बहुत सारे अलग अलग चीजों में काम करने का मौका मिलेगा, एंड वंस यू डू मे बी 2 to 3 years 5 years डाउन द लाइन, आपको काफी एक जनरल बहुत अच्छा आइडिया हो जाएगा कि ये प्रॉब्लम को हम लोग इस तरीके से सॉल्व कर सकते हैं. So that is how मतलब दीपिंदर गोयल ने बनाया, मतलब कि उसको he was actually working in the consulting division only. So you actually apply that she mentioned nth level तक, तो वो चीज है. Yeah, there are 2 to 3 more questions. Yes, you can ask it out.
One more thing I want to ask, the curriculum, networking and career options, the differences in MBA, MIM and MFin.
Sorry, come again. What are the 3 parameters that you mentioned?
Yeah. So what are the differences in career options, networking opportunities, and the overall study flow in MBA, MIM, and MFin?
Okay, networking I think would be very similar in both the areas, but in terms of career options, I think MBA say you get all doors open to you, right? Like as I mentioned, so many fields, and you can literally have your pick no matter where you have worked in the past. But I think MIM, it becomes a little more niche and grounded. Ki acha, maybe consulting roles only or strategy kind of roles only. And I think there your past background also matters a little bit, because they will look at that when they are sort of deciding like whether or not to take you for that particular companies. But I think Praveen bhai, if you can add more on this.
Yeah, जैसे देखो MBA बहुत broad sphere हो गया, right? MBA means कि तुम बिजनेस का कोई भी एस्पेक्ट को देख सकते हो. अगेन मास्टर्स तुम्हारा हो गया नीश कि तुमने मास्टर्स किसमें किया है. एंड MIM छोटा होता है, जैसे इट्स रेंजेस फ्रॉम योर 6 months to 15 months का जो होता है. मोस्टली ये जो अब्रॉड में होता है, MIM इसलिए चालू होता है कि जैसे उसने मेंशन किया कि कंसल्टिंग मतलब कोई एक स्पेसिफिक नीश एरिया. तो अगर तुम कॉन्सेंट्रिक सर्कल्स बना रहे हो, तो सबसे स्पेसिफिक तुम्हारा हो जाएगा मास्टर्स इन फाइनेंस और समथिंग लाइक दैट. फिर उसके ऊपर का जो सर्कल होगा दैट विल बी MIM, और फिर उसके ऊपर का जो सर्कल होगा दैट विल बी MBA. सो अगर करना ही है तो क्यों ना हम लोग MBA करें, मतलब ऐसा है. जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई एम वर्किंग, मेरे को टीचिंग में ही कुछ अगर आगे का देखना है, फिर मेरे को फैमिली बिजनेस वाला कुछ करना है, तो मैं उसमें जाऊंगा, वैसा होता है. सो उस तरीके से होता है चीजें. बट अगर तुमको तीनों में अगर ऑप्शंस अगर देखना है, तो एनी डे MBA इज बेटर.
Yeah, but actually it has its own work, its requirements, and for the purpose of networking and pursuing an entrepreneurship career path, उसके लिए are these three ranked equally or just have a slight difference की major difference होगा?
नहीं, मेजर डिफरेंस रहेगा. MBA करना चाहिए, क्योंकि उसमें तुमको काफी चीजों के बारे में सिखाया जाएगा. जैसे बिजनेस में बहुत सारी चीजें होती हैं, तुम्हारा ऑपरेशंस, मार्केटिंग, फाइनेंस, ऐसे करके हर एक डिवीजन का तुमको MBA में वो लोग थोड़ा थोड़ा करके बताएंगे. दे आर गोइंग टू टॉक अ लॉट ऑन दीज ऑल मैटर्स इन ऑल रेस्पेक्ट्स. ठीक है.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, but I have few
Yeah.
questions in the chat. Just give me a moment.
Yeah. Okay.
So Astha is having a question So there is a new 20-month program. If you have less than 2 years of experience, there's a 20-month program, and 1 year program is after 2 years of experience, right? So
Yep.
will there be any kind of difference, like as you mentioned that we should work for some time and then we should go? So what are your views on that?
I personally am a very big advocate for the bigger program, like not the 20-month one, because I feel in terms of exposure, right? Like, for example, I was put in a study group where everyone had more work experience than me, and they were like maybe 3 to 4 years elder than me. So they had like all of those different kinds of perspectives from or experiences from their job, which they exposed me to, which I had absolutely no idea about, or I would never think about a problem that way. But when you are working in that, like when you're in that 20-month kind of a program, everyone has worked for say less than 2 years, maybe in very similar kind of experiences also, right? Because शुरू में सब वैसा एक जैसा ही काम करते हैं, and then later on they sort of branch out and diversify. So I feel that your experiences and your exposure to that different kind of thinking might be slightly limited in that 20-month wala program, because the people don't have that kind of experience only in the first place. So I think मतलब MBA का सबसे बड़ा value तो यही है ना कि आप अपने आसपास वालों से कितना सीख पा रहे हो, how much you are able to extract out of them, and in the future also how they can help you. So I think better to surround yourself with all different like kinds of experience, like even people who have 4 or 5 years of experience. I mean, why not? Now they are some of my best friends. So
Got it. So one of the candidate is having a question कि अगर किसी का quants weak है, so how they can improve the quants that is asked in the GMAT exam?
I think with quant का सबसे अच्छा चीज is with practice you can easily crack it. मतलब verbal तो चलो ठीक है, एक बार के लिए people have no interest और maybe इतना पढ़ लिए नहीं समझ आ रहा है, but quant में तो it's like very formula based, very like कि अच्छा ये करोगे तो हो जाएगा वो problem solve. Maybe it will need you like a few extra weeks of practice compared to others who are strong in quants. बट आप मतलब वो करते रहोगे, यू विल वॉच वीडियोस, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड कि अच्छा इस प्रॉब्लम को ये सॉल्व करने के 3 तरीके, और वो 3 ही तरीके हैं, तो you can easily crack it. मतलब that's the best part about quants.
Okay. So last 3 questions. So one is अगर कोई actually specific question है ये, तो अगर मान लो कोई actually कर रहा है, या फिर I will make it more broad, अगर कोई CFA CA कर रहा है, so क्या management consulting corporate finance में transition करना and networking opportunities better होगा अगर कोई मतलब करता है तो?
Better नहीं होगा. I would quote the same analogy which you said कि CFA CA would be like the smaller part of the concentric circle and MBA would be the outer side of it. तो MBA से आपको जो opportunities मिलेंगी that will be corporate finance, management consulting plus XYZ. So अगर आपको वो मिल रहा है, so why not go for the broader program, right? And have your options always open. And who knows, you might even change your mind. Like मतलब ऐसे भी लोग थे जो आए थे जब MBA में तो सोच के आए थे कि अच्छा मेरे को यही करना है. But after speaking to so many people over a period of 2 to 3 months, their viewpoints changed and they went into some totally different field. And today they are so flourishing there. So why not have that open, broader mind?
Okay. So last question, Manjari, you can ask. And अगर और किसी को कोई
Yes.
भी doubt है, you can message me and I can ask them and I can solve that. Yes, Manjari.
Oh, yes. There are a lot of notions going on that I myself thought that I'll give a GMAT and then work and then go for an MBA. But nowadays, a lot of notion and bubbles are going on that the fresher the GMAT score is, more value colleges put into that. So,
No, nothing like that. I mean, it really does not matter. What they will look at is your overall profile as well as your GMAT score in absolute terms. मतलब ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि you have taken it 2 years later, someone has taken 2 months before, तो वो बहुत ही different lens होगा. But rather, and what you said, right, कि मतलब if you have worked in a particular field and you are able to show how you will add value to that MBA cohort, why will they not look at that? I mean, that is something very highly valued, in fact, especially in ISB applications.
Got it. So thank you so much, Sejal, for joining. And it was really glad and hope for more such uh, sessions in future. But I would like to add few points that more importantly, आप अपना जो broader spectrum है, आप उसको कितना cover कर सकते हो, वो बहुत matter करता है life में. And Sejal has actually tried to basically, उन्होंने विद टाइम पिवट किया अपने लाइफ में एंड उन्होंने राइट टाइम पे एमबीए करके उसको कंप्लीट किया. नाउ शी इज बेसिकली हैविंग अ वेरी वेरी गुड से एंड शी इज वर्किंग एक्चुअली वेरी गुड. So thank you so much, Sejal, for joining. And if there are few more specific questions that I will forward it to you.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank
It
you
was
so
a
much.
pleasure speaking with
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.